Hi guys, yeah, welcome to my YouTube channel, Learn Data with Dami, and of course I am Dami Lola Dami. So on today's series, because this is actually a sales trend project series, I will be showing you how I turned raw data for a restaurant business into insights. On this particular video, I'll be showing you how I extracted this data I entered into an Excel workbook into SQL Server using Microsoft Visual Studio. So if you've ever wondered what it looks like working on a real life raw data project, so you're at the right place. So come along and let's start. So let's get started. So the first thing I did was to open Microsoft Excel, and yeah, I just want to show you what my table looks like on Excel after creating after entering the raw data. So I have my sales table and I have my expense table. So now that I'm done with that, I move forward to SQL Server, my SSMS. So on my SSMS, that's where I will create the database which I'll be working with, and I'll also create the table structure of what I yes, my table structure where I want the data extracted from Excel to be loaded into. So the first thing I did was to connect to my server after opening SQL Server. Then I opened a new query and I created a database. I named my database trends. So after doing that, I highlighted it and run the query. So yeah, after doing that, I went further to change. I went further to change the database to trends because that's what I want to be working on. Then it's time for me to create the first table structure. I named that sales temp. I named that sales temp. Just give me a moment, a minute, not even a minute. I was contemplating what to name my table here, but I wait later name it sales temp. Then it's time for me to type in each of my columns and the data type. So for the sales date, I chose date, and for the payment amount data type, I chose n voucher, and I use 50 as the number of characters I want to be on. I want like the maximum number of characters should be 50, then the amount was integer. Then I decide to, so I'm done. Now it's time for me to highlight this and run the query. Yes, this is the part where I run the query. So yes, it's a success. So I want to see what the structure looks like. So I did my select star from says temp, and it's time for me to run this query. Allow execute. So yeah, now I have my table structure. So it's time for me to move further to my Visual Studio. It's time for me to open it. So just need some moments to let this load. Yeah, I need to give it some moments now. I launch it, and yeah, I have to wait for this to open. It's going to take a while. So let's hold on. Yeah. So the first thing I did here was to create a new project. Then I'm so sorry for this pop-up. I have to type in my SSIS, and I selected the SSIS that has the ETL package in it. There were three options for SSIS. One has the Azure, but I chose the ETL, the one with the ETL package. So I need to name my project, give it a name. So I decided to go for sales trend project. Now it's time for me to create my project. So after creating my project, this will lead me to my workspace where I'll be performing the whole ETL process. So now if you notice, after everything loading, look at what this pane looks like. So even before I drag my data flow tags, just observe. So, and observe after I double click on the data flow tags. Can you see? So this goes to show you that without your data flow tags, you cannot perform the ETL process on this workspace. So after doing that, I selected my source, which was Excel source. Then I clicked on new. Now it's time for me to browse so I can select which Excel file I want to work with. And yeah, I chose my Excel file and I clicked OK. So moving forward, um, don't mind me. I was a little bit confused right here, so I don't know what happened, but I just had to go through the process again. So here I am right now. Okay, so I have to choose which of the sheet I want to work with, and I selected my sales table sheet. I had to check if the columns are the same with what I want to work with, and it is the same. So I went to the common pane and I selected data conversion. I dragged it to the workspace. Then I connected the blue arrow from the Excel source to the data conversion. Then after doing that, I moved further. I went to my destination and I dragged the OLDB destination. Then now I have to connect the blue arrow to the OLDB destination. So new, then I wanted the reason why I deleted that database was because I want to show you how I selected my database. So I have to select my driver, which was OLDB driver for SQL Server. Then I type in my server name in small letter localhost because that's how I actually save my server name. Then I selected the database which I created. I test my connection, and of course my connection was okay. Then I clicked OK, OK too. So now here I get to choose the table structure I created, which was system, the mappings, or they're perfect. So now I clicked on OK, and the reason for this red caution the reason for the yellow caution sign is because of the data type I used for my payment type, but it's fine. I went ahead to run the program and it worked. So I had to go check if my data has been loaded into SQL Server, and of course it was loaded into SQL Server. So the next thing I did moving forward was to create another table structure for the second table, the expense table in the in my Excel file. So this is me trying to create the expense table. So this is where this particular part was very you figure everything out. Why why I move further in this video. Anyway, I created a structure, so I need to enter the data type for the expense table. Now I have to enter the expense date, and the data type for that is date. Moving forward, I had to enter the amount, and the data type for amount is integer. Then close the bracket and semicolon. Highlight everything, then run the query. Alt X, or you click on execute on SQL Server right there. Also, yeah, moving forward, I clicked on select from expense term just to see if the structure I created correlates to what was in Excel. And yeah, it correlates. It's exactly what I want. So I had to go back to my Visual Studio. So yeah, I stopped the program from debugging. Then I went to my file and I click on new project because I need to start a new project. I saved my work first. That was the first thing I did. I saved my work, then new project. So I repeat the same process, SSIS, ETL package. I clicked on that, then create. So yeah, I had to name my project name. So this time around I name it sales trend project 2. I'm sorry, I don't know why I was making a mistake like this, don't mind me, but that was what I named it. Then I click on create. So now it's time to start the whole ETL process on the workspace. And let's start. I'll still typing, don't mind me. I have to save the other work I did properly. I clicked on save so I can move forward. As you can see, first let me cancel this pop-up. Okay, so now remember I said before, the first thing you do, the data flow tags. Without the data flow tags, nothing is going to work on this workspace. I drag in my Excel source, I double click, new, I browse, I select the Excel file I want, sales table, Excel sheet. Okay, then I click on OK to I select the sheet I want to work with, expense table sheet. And yeah, let's move forward. Then I went to the common pane on my toolbox and I selected data conversion. I dragged it to my workspace. Then I connected the blue arrow to the data conversion. Then I went further to the other destination, OLDB. Very simple, very easy. So I double clicked, so I have to delete one of them. So I deleted the one that I have OLDB destination 1. Then I dragged the other, the one had the upper part, and I didn't bother going through the whole process of picking my server since it's the same database I use. I just picked the trend database and I selected my expense temp from the table structure I created in SQL Server mapping. The reason why the expense date is not automatically mapped to the other expense date in the output is because I did not type it the same way it was in Excel. The one in Excel doesn't have an underscore, and the structure I created in SQL has an underscore. So when I ran this program, there was an error. Oh my god, I really went through a lot doing this work. Anyway, I'm really sorry for that pop up. I need to learn how to record my work better. So I tried it again to check if it's not my eyes that were deceiving me. And of course, it was not my eyes that were deceiving me. I was the one making the error. So I double click on the data conversion because I wanted to see the data type of my amount, and I found out that it was in string or text or so. So I had to change it to numeric, and I wanted to see if it will work. Anyway, let's go and check it out. It did not work. Let me just let you know. There's no need for me to stress that. It was even worse this time around. So I was thinking, what could have been the problem? What could have been the problem? I went to my Excel sheet, I highlighted the whole amount. Then I went to my text column. I wanted to change the data type. I removed the tab. Then I went to, it was in general, of course, so that's where it's supposed to be. And I'm like, what is the problem? What is the problem? Look at me. I was so confused. Yeah, I was just like, huh. I clicked on the advanced, like, I've never done this advanced part before, but I was just looking for a solution to this challenge. Anyway, nobody told me I canceled the stuff because I was not even understanding what was going on here. So I had to cancel and move forward. I would say, let me go back again. Maybe there's a step I did not check, there's a step I missed on something. I see her. It was still the same thing. Anyway, nobody told me. I move forward, I finish. I had to click on, I had to just like move on and figure out another solution. Anyway, I decided this time around that let me not use data conversion, let me use derived column. Then I deleted the data conversion part. I deleted it. Then I went to my I think it was in the common pane I found that stuff. I found it in the common pane. So I right clicked on it, then I deleted. Then I went to the common pane. I couldn't find what I was looking for there. I went to the common pane, then I selected data, no, derived column. Then I connected it. I did the same thing. Hey, you would think that this will solve the problem. It's, it's a lie, you. It did not. Then I did not even understand what I was doing here at this point. I was so tired that day. And I just wanted this thing to work. So I was just trying everything in my power. Hmm. Failure again. Anyway, this time around, I figured out that the challenge was because I could tell after checking the data type for the amount, um, when I double click on my data conversion, I knew that that was where the challenge was coming from. So what I did moving forward was that I had to alight the whole amount column and replace my null values with zero. I went to my data pane. That was where did that. So yes, replace full column, replace all the null values on that column with zero. So after doing that, by this time already, I had already cancelled, dropped the table on SQL Server. So I had to recreate another expense table. So this time around, I named it expense trend. I did not even remember that I named the first table I created sales temp. So I was just like, okay, I beg, let me just move forward. Then I was trying to put in the data type for my expense dates. So yeah, here we have it. Then for the expense date, data type is date, and for the amount, the data type is integer. Then I have to run this query. After running the query, alt X, it was successful. So I wanted to see what the table structure looks like, of course. And here we go. Yes, it looks exactly how I want it. Then I went back to my Visual Studio. So I had to open my Visual Studio again. I don't know why it was taking this long to load. I wish I can rewind all this part of these videos, but you guys just have to wait. But please bear with me. And the reason for this was because, yeah. So let's move forward. I had to pin it to my taskbar at this point instead of me to always like be typing it. So okay. Now I was waiting. It was telling me that I cannot open Microsoft Visual Studio. Anyway, I had to cancel what I was doing before and reopen it. So now I have to wait for this thing to open. Please be on me. Then remember I was working on the project before. I already named the project, so I just selected the sales trend project. So I have to wait for my workspace to open. And I have already like removed the data, the derived column. I've cancelled them, and I've also deleted the destination. So I had to start over this time around. I What did I do here? I had to delete this. Yes, so I wanted to start over. I double clicked, I dragged it to the screen and double click on my data flow tags. Then I went to my source, Excel source, of course. Now it's time to choose the Excel file I'm working with where I want to extract the data from. New, I clicked on new, browse. Then I selected the Excel file I wanted to work with. Open, okay. Then I selected the sheet I want to be working with. Expense sheets. It's time to see the columns. Do they align? Of course they do. Okay. Let's move forward. Then I went back to my command pane. Then I selected my data conversion. Drag it to the then connect the blue arrow to the data conversion. Then I moved to my destination OLDB. Then I connected the blue arrow from my data conversion to OLDB destination. Then double click on it to my wondering. Double click. So so I just went with my trend database. There was no need because I knew that that was where the table structure was at. Then I selected the table structure I created, expense trend. And I went to my mappings. The reason why this is not connected is because the way I wrote the expense date in Excel is not the same way I wrote it in SQL. So I had to like correct that while trying to do the mapping. Always try to do your mapping. So let's see. Oh, victory at last. It was a success. So let's go to SQL Server to see if our data was loaded successfully. And of course it was. So yeah. So thank you for following me on this part of my sales trend project series. So to catch up on more of what I did with this raw data, you should subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow up and stay tuned for my next sales trend project series update. So bye.